Right now in North Carolina, more than 200 people diagnosed with severe mental illnesses are sitting in county jails, waiting for a bed in a state psychiatric hospital just so they can stand trial. To alleviate this bottleneck, the legal system leans on mental health treatment courts. These are specialized dockets that allow defendants to voluntarily opt into supervised, community-based care instead of serving jail time. But this setup has a massive structural bottleneck built right into it. Because it is a criminal court program, a person must be arrested and charged with an offense before they can even enter the pipeline. Harm has to happen first. Second, the program is completely voluntary. A participant has to recognize that they have a mental illness and formally consent to a supervised treatment plan. When you build a system that waits for someone to be victimized and then relies on a severely ill patient's own self-awareness to initiate care, you guarantee a continuous cycle of trauma. It's a cycle that costs the state upwards of $60,000 per person per year, mostly in emergency room boarding and repeat bookings. That reliance on self-awareness is especially problematic when you look at the biology of severe mental illness. Up to 98% of patients with schizophrenia experience a condition called anosognosia. This is a neurological inability to perceive one's own illness. People with anosognosia will never voluntarily opt in to a treatment court. It isn't denial or stubbornness. The neural pathways required to process the fact that they are sick are literally blocked. Their brains cannot process the information. Without the ability to realize they need help, these individuals are trapped in a revolving door. They cycle predictably from the streets to hospital emergency departments to jail cells, over and over again. Our justice diversion programs consistently fail this highly vulnerable population because they treat anosognosia as a behavioral choice rather than a severe neurological deficit. To plug this exact gap, North Carolina law authorizes a specific proactive tool, Assisted Outpatient Treatment, which the state refers to as involuntary outpatient commitment. Look at this split timeline comparing the two paths. While the traditional treatment court waits for a crime and an arrest to trigger intervention, assisted outpatient treatment operates upstream. It is triggered by clinical deterioration and a documented history of treatment failure. Instead of a police officer initiating the process with handcuffs, a family member or a clinician files a civil petition. This bypasses the criminal justice system entirely. The patient retains full due process rights. They receive a hearing before a judge, they have the right to legal counsel, and the burden of proof rests on the petitioner. Because this happens in civil court, there are no criminal charges and no criminal record. If the judge issues the order, the patient isn't locked up. They are mandated to receive structured, community-based care while living at home. The mental health system is legally required to provide wraparound services like medication management, housing coordination, and peer support. Rather than relying on the blunt coercion of a jail cell, this civil mandate acts as a temporary, dignified bridge. It restores autonomy to those whose illness physically prevents them from asking for help in the first place. We know this works because it was rigorously tested right here in North Carolina. Researchers at Duke University conducted a randomized controlled trial and found striking results when the court order was sustained for 180 days or more. This bar chart illustrates the dramatic drop in criminal justice contact. For high-risk individuals with a history of hospitalizations and violent behavior, extended outpatient commitment lowered the probability of an arrest from 45% all the way down to just 12%. When we morph this into a line graph mapping New York's Assisted Outpatient Treatment program, we see a similarly steep 83% downward trend in arrests, alongside a 48% drop in the likelihood of a patient becoming a victim of violent crime. By proactively providing intensive outpatient care in the community, we stabilize patients where they live. This logic here is straightforward. If we can intervene effectively during clinical deterioration, the crime doesn't happen. And if the arrest never happens, the criminal charges that feed our overburdened treatment courts never exist in the first place. By shifting our focus from the criminal courthouse to the civil courthouse, we can stop waiting for victims to be made. The most effective way to lower mental health-related crime isn't to build better courts for defendants. It is to guarantee treatment for patients before the handcuffs ever come out.